And we're going ahead and getting started here. So on your left is Beaux Bruggman, and on your right is Vishaal Desai.
Now, our predictions for this matchup, we're going to put Esper ahead, and I think I might have talked you into the belief that in the other bracket that Jason Black will defeat the other Esper player with Wolfer on ramp. And the reason I think so is that the particular way that his opponent Will Qian's Esper deck is built, I think is perhaps particularly vulnerable to a single Primeval Titan ever resolving.
I definitely think with Wolfrun versus Esper, it's definitely another matchup that usually favors the Esper deck, but both these people have shifted their builds enough to try to either deal with the fact that it controls a bad matchup or try to look at where the Wolfrun player has built his deck to be very good against control. The Esper player has built his deck to target other decks that it might be that once was a favorable matchup, now might not be as much.
So maybe I've convinced you, maybe I haven't, but it's possible we might see a Esper versus Wolfrun finals, the way I would imagine it. But you're kind of, I still thinking there might be an Esper
Still leaning
finals.
to an all Esper finals.
And with our game our start with Vishaal with a Bird of Paradise off of a Razor Verge Thicket.
Beaux Bruggman makes a land drop with no play. Typically in this sort of matchup, he's just going to be trying to do the very traditional control element of remove all the large threats and then follow that up with some sort of finisher or card draw, really.
Faithless Looting from Vishaal.
And they're discussing whether or not it will resolve, though I don't think there's no... Okay, no, he's just saying which two to discard.
Faithless Looting, one of those cards that when I saw it, I actually couldn't believe that it had been printed.
So the Elish Norn's now in the graveyard. That's something that aggro decks would be very strong against them. In this matchup, really, the cards which Beaux will care more about are the Unburial Rights. As far as all the targets that he can get back, Elish Norn actually is one of the less scary targets for Beaux.
Wormcoil Engine is probably the best one in his main deck.
Absolutely. Wormcoil Engine requires a very specific answer from Beaux Bruggman. He only has one Oblivion Ring in his deck, so if the Wormcoil Engine resolves, it'll probably take 2 or 3 kill spells for Beaux to be able to get it off the table.
Another creature for mana. And one of the real threats of the Freet's deck is that it can actually hard cast its threats.
Definitely.
It doesn't actually have to have the threat be a pure reanimation target. Next turn, if he has a land here, he could, for example, cast Inferno Titan or Wormcoil Engine.
Right.
He does not. Attacks for 1.
And Beaux probably will be content to not answer the mana creatures and really just to let them chip away at his life total. It's very unlikely that those creatures by themselves will be able to get him from 20. Vishaal does play 4 Lingering Souls, which sometimes represents a plausible plan B for Vishaal and to try to bait some of the harder removal out of Beau's hand.
One thing to remember is that if you're playing a control deck against the Freet's deck, because of the sheer amount of flashback cards, if you aren't being very judicious with your control elements, you can just get overrun by the card advantage that's presented by the opponent. But essentially, if you're being very, very careful and recognizing there are only certain kinds of threats that can happen, you really can put up a pretty good fight against them.
It's a very interesting way. The Fright deck probably has better card draw than the actual control deck, so he can't compete with him on sheer card quantity, but like you were saying, he instead will compete in the sense of card quality, that he can really ignore a lot of the cards in Vishaal's deck.
We now see the 6th mana from Vishaal Desai. Now a 7th.
So all his spells should be castable at this point.
Yeah. If he were to lose his Bird of Paradise, that would reduce the amount of spells he could cast by a fair amount. But I believe he only has the bird for red right now. Oh, there it is. There's that. So yeah, he can cast every spell in his deck right now.
He doesn't have Inferno Titan. So
Lingering Souls.
What's interesting here is Vishaal at some point has to play somewhat of a game of chicken with Beaux. Right now he's representing 3 power on the board. He has the option to flashback Lingering Souls, but 3 power is probably enough of a clock that Beaux will have to spend a card like Day of Judgment on this board. So Vishaal will maybe not commit the second half of his Lingering Souls. Just very solidly chip away, or maybe not.
Oh my goodness gracious me.
That's an excellent answer right there.
Do you want to read it? Says Beaux Bruggman, trying to get towards his
No.
opponent. That is a Curse of Death's Hold. Ouch.
So now all the Vishaal has somewhere around 11 completely dead cards in his deck for the rest of this game.
And no way at all to remove the Curse of Death's Hold.
No.
He can put out a Elshnorn and mitigate its effects for as long as the Elshnorn is alive, but that's asking a lot to have an Elshnorn stick around.
Yeah, I mean, his game plan already was to let a Mythic Rare resolve and not have it die, so now that... Yeah, it really is really going to put him on hope. Vishaal's going to have to try to hope to just power out more Worm Coils than Beaux can deal with here. So, Faithless Looting, discarding another Faithless Looting and Land More Elves, makes another land for Vishaal, passes the turn. Beaux now, with Consecrated Sphinx, getting into solid control of this match. The Sphinx is exactly what he wants to be doing. It should hopefully draw him enough removal to deal with anything Vishaal can make here.
Let's pretend that Vishaal drops the most dangerous card he could right now, which I think would be probably Wormcoil Engine. I think that Beaux Bruggman is still in good shape.
Yeah, he's probably still favored on that board. Remember, Beaux, even with only one Oblivion Ring, he would probably have to... He does have one Sever the Bloodline, actually, which would also do very well. But yeah, with the sheer number of cards he's drawing, I can't... Yeah,
one of the best things that Vishaal Desai can do, too, is cast a Faithless Looting in order to cycle through some of his dead cards. And a Faithless Looting now in the face of a Consecrated Sphinx is practically suicide.
Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about Beaux Bruggman's path into the top 8 of this event, if you remember from yesterday. From yesterday, Beaux Bruggman, going into the last round, had 1 loss, 1 draw, and was in 13th place. He was the lowest tiebreakers at 1 loss and 1 draw, and by mathematically had his opponents all play, more of them played instead of drawing, he would have been locked out of the top 8. But as it turned out, sometimes, especially when you have a lot of draws involved, a few more draws were made than probably were safe, and Beaux was able, actually, by leapfrogging 4 percentage points, was able to sneak into the 8th spot of top 8. I think he was probably just as surprised as anyone else to see himself, to hear his name get called as the top 8 was announced. And and he's certainly making up for lost time now, moving himself into the top 4 and really getting a commanding lead in game one of the top 4, maybe post to make the finals. So what we have here on the board, Consecrated Sphinx slowly chipping away at Vishaal's life total. Beaux probably not making too many more plays other than that. We have Lingering Souls here, but so we have Lingering Souls making 2 spirits here.
Okay, there might be a pause on the match for a moment. Okay, and welcome back to the Star City Games, Sacramento. We're just making sure we get something taken care of over there. It looks like there might be a judge call that could take a little while. So, for those of you who are just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan, joined here by Matthias Hunt, and we're here in Sacramento, enjoying the beginning of our day here for the Star City Games live coverage of Sacramento. We're in the top 4 of the Star City Games event here, and our matchups going into this, we saw Beaux Bruggman defeat Wolfrun Ramp.
And a very close 3 games.
A very close 3 games. Once again, I called that for Wolfrun Ramp, and you called that for Esper. And I think that one of the things that you had said is, what is it? You think that Wolfrun Ramp beats Esper, or basically any black-blue based control deck? And that wasn't my claim. I just thought that those 2 people, their particular sideboards, their particular main decks would work out that way.
And it's really what we're seeing. A lot of these control decks have almost taken their their Ramp matchups for granted, and are starting to move away and just look at other matchups. And we're wondering, Ramp's a very good deck. It's possible that if you take it too much for granted and take out too many of the cards, suddenly you might lose one of your good matchups.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things. When it comes to metagames, metagames are kind of living ecological entities. If you like we used that aquarium analogy before. You dump all the different fish into that aquarium and see who lives. Well, if at a certain point you just start ignoring the fact that there's a certain kind of animal in there, well, it's going to spring itself up, and it's going to show you what's boss. We're going to see more of that today in Legacy, where a lot of the question marks are, for example, take a deck like Dredge. Dredge is one of those decks that if somebody isn't ready for, that if somebody isn't ready for it, it'll just take them down.
Right.
And so looks like we're going to go back to the match. And we were saying about Beaux defeating David Myers in the quarters. That was kind of a surprise. But if you remember that David Myers with Wolf Run Ramp, he had kind of a very anemic game 3.
All right. So we're back. We're back to our game. Beaux still.
Okay. Yeah, there was just a slight pause. It looked like there might have been a situation with the deck list, but it was just fine.
All right. So Beaux still definitely in the driver's seat for game 1. Cabin Castle, Lingering Souls, and really Consecrated Sphinx should be able to clean up this game. And he doesn't counter the Unburial Rites.
I don't know if he even cares. I mean, Elshnorn right now.
Doesn't actually. Well, it does race the Consecrated Sphinx.
It races the Sphinx, but not very well. It's sort of like this. You saw my version of a Delver deck that had Curiosity. I've been beaten down by some insectile aberrations while I'm Curiositying. And you just don't even care unless you're about to die because you just overwhelm them. And similarly here, this Consecrated Sphinx doesn't really care about the Elshnorn unless some more exciting stuff starts happening. Because those cards, it's just so many cards.
And of Beau's answers, Beaux probably would like to... Yep, and there we go. There's Tragic Slip on the Elshnorn. He probably wants to wait to have a removal spell for Elshnorn and save his counter magic for Wormcoil Engines.
Absolutely.
Beaux with, I believe, almost a 10-card hand here. Really has plenty of answers.
I mean, I have lost when I've had a Consecrated Sphinx in play, but it has been usually because
I was behind.
I was so far behind.
Right.
Yeah, it's one of those cards that I know we were talking about testing for block. In early testing for block when Consecrated Sphinx was released, it was a kind of secretly a card that some of us were trying to keep under wraps, but we couldn't because it was too good.
Too good, everyone.
once you saw what it could do, you could never forget it.
It's such a strong card.
Yeah, this is one of the dangers of testing on Magic Online when you've got a card that's so good but no one knows it yet. The moment it's in play for a turn, that person will always know.
Now they know something's going on here. Beaux knocking Vishaal down to 12. And making more souls.
Both of these players packing Lingering Souls. The Lingering Souls count in our top 8. Really, I'm going to take a quick check and see if Will Xian has any Lingering Souls in his deck. He does. That means that half of the decks in our top 8 are running 4 Lingering Souls.
I mean, that's a testament to the strength of the card, really. We probably will continue to see Lingering Souls pretty much everywhere. We're seeing them in our Standard, we're seeing them in our Legacy, we're seeing them in our Modern, we're seeing them in our Sleep even, They're just everywhere right now.
That's actually true. We are seeing them in our sleep. I was telling you this morning how I had a dream about Lingering Souls and Draco Malfoy, so I don't know what that's about.
So here we go. Vishaal has found really his choice of 6-drop. Probably grab. Well, he just opts for the Inferno Titan.
The Inferno Titan can stem the bleeding for a second.
Much easier to answer than the Wormcoil Engine. Seems like Vishaal's worried about Esper's ability to, Beau's ability to just swing 6, play a kill spell, swing 6, and win.
One of the things, I actually don't know how the game Yu-Gi-Oh works, but I kind of wonder if it has some of the same concepts, like if card advantage is the same sort of thing in Yu-Gi-Oh, because sometimes people that play other games don't really recognize just how devastating what something like a Consecrated Sphinx is. Mm-hmm. And with Vishaal not having played Tournament Magic for very long, I'm curious if he's perceiving how bad he has this moment going or not.
Well, I mean, I think he's got to realize that what's happening here isn't good for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like, you might realize it's not good, but do you realize how not good it is?
Right. Why and that attack, dropping Vishaal to 3.
I'm thinking about sideboards right now,
All right.
and if we're Vishaal,
Well,
Thrun.
Last time we saw Vishaal play against an Esper control deck, he did board in Thrun. We were unsure whether or not he boarded in the 4 Strangleroot Geists in his board.
I would like it, but he sees this Curse of Death's Hold. If he recognizes what that can do, I mean, it doesn't stop a Strangleroot Geist, but it does blunt the Strangleroot Geist. Sort of blunt, half blunt.
Strangleroot Geist.
Ray of Revelation.
Ray of Revelation. There actually is only one Oblivion Ring in Beaux' deck. Ray of Revelation is always a tough card to call whether or not you want it.
Well, and the thing to remember, though, is that both players get to see each other's full deck list and the sideboard. So he can see in the sideboard there's a Volition Reigns hanging out in Beaux Bruggman's side.
Right, so he's got to think then, is Beaux going to keep in Curse of Death's Hold? I think would be my question. If he does, I think probably Ray of Revelation is worth keeping in. There's only 2 targets for it. I don't know then.
And it becomes, well, there are 4 total between main and board.
Right, if he's keeping in the Curse of Death's Holds. The thing about Vishaal's deck is that he can only do so much sideboarding in any given matchup. The engine of the deck really needs to stay intact, so he probably will have to pick between the Strangleroot Geist Throne plan or the Ray of Revelation plan. Bringing all of them in, I think, might dilute down the actual potency of what his deck's trying to do.
I can accept that. I think that one thing to think about as well is that I think Phyrexian Metamorph is actually a really solid card for him. He can use it to copy Strangleroot Geists, much like the red-green decks do. But then he can also use it to copy Inferno Titans, Wormcoil Engines, all.
And there's our first game. Vishaal making the Wormcoil Engine that he found, but Beaux, unsurprisingly, having a mana leak as one of the 10 cards that are in his hand at that point.
Okay. Now, we've got this first game under wraps under the control of Beaux Bruggman over newcomer Vishaal Desai. But besides that win, there's always the opportunity for you guys to win at home. We give away a lot of free premium at these events. And the thing about premium that I really, really love is that, to my mind, it's one of those things that you need to be reading if you want to be a part of the truly competitive parts of Magic. Definitely. Even the people that I know, they work for, say, competitors to Star City Games, most of them are reading Star City Games. And the reason that you do that is because even if you don't like it, let's pretend that you are someone, I'm going to actually call it a name. Let's pretend you're Owen Turtenwald and you think that people that write things write stupid things.
All right. Sure.
Well, because he said that.
Definitely, yes.
Well, what's still important is it's still important to know what people are thinking about. To know that Jerry Thompson did a video tech on some particular card. To know that that's in the air. So
you might think that Mono Black is not a real deck, but if there are 10 articles written on Mono Black in the last week, you should know that that's happening.
Now, that's if you've got the curmudgeonly view. Now, for me, I actually think that it's really
okay.
valuable. So getting free premium, if you don't already have it, you should be having it if you're serious about Magic.
Yeah.
And regardless, you can get 6 free months of premium. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go SCG Premium. I can't quite get that hashtag. Can you get it? Oh, there you go.
Right there.
That's the hashtag you're going to want to put the answer to a trivia question. And one person amongst those who have correctly answered this trivia question are going to be seeing themselves with 6 free months of premium. And so this question, this not quite gold card, is in half of our deck's top 8s. 4 copies of this sorcery that's not really quite gold are in half of our deck's top 8. What is the sorcery in half of the decks of this top 8? Now, this top 8 includes Esper Control, Wolf Run Ramp, Freets, or Frights if you prefer, Black-Red Zombies, Green-Red Aggro, and
Black-White Tokens.
Black-White Tokens. So what 4 of is in 4 of these decks? And if you are one of the lucky people that answers this question correctly to the hashtag SCG Premium, you could be a winner of 6 months of free premium. 2 trimesters, according to Jacob Van Leen.
All right.
So,
well, they're more like quarters, aren't they? I suppose we're talking about as if we were in a school year.
or something else.
There's summer break with SCG Premium.
You're a teacher, aren't you? So, going back to our sideboarding for our matchup of Beaux Bruggman and Vishaal Desai, I think that if I were Vishaal Desai, the question of the Ray of Revelation is less of concern to me than the nature of how that deck works. I know I'm going to want to bring in the Nihil Spellbomb. The Nihil Spellbomb is going to be good against every element that Vishaal Desai might go with.
Absolutely.
Do I bring in Despise? I like Despise, I think, in this matchup. I mean, it doesn't stop the Unburial Rights, but what it does do is it does blunt some of the good cards.
I think Despise is okay in the matchup.
Would you rather just try to use Mana Leak?
It's a 1-for-1 spell, and I think I would rather have Mana Leak. It's, it's not all that often that the Frights deck can actually
You just made me think of something, too.
get +3 mana on
The
them.
game goes late, and Vishaal Desai will empty his hand, and then the
Yes.
Despises will become dead.
Right, so I think you'd rather something
so,
that's more live, like the Mana Leaks.
Yeah, you're right. So Karn Liberated, I think, is a definite.
Karn Liberator would be definite.
And the Nile Spellbound is
Volition Reigns
definite.
is also a definite.
And, yeah, the Volition Reigns is definite. And I think I actually like Batterskull.
Why would you say that?
The reason I think that I kind of like Batterskull is that one of the things that can happen is that you can actually get kind of beaten down early, and it'll give you a little bit of breathing room.
I think you need some finisher. He already has one Batterskull in the main. I'm not sure I like the second one. I do like them more than, say, Sorin, Lord of Innistrad right here.
Yeah, the thing is, we'll obviously put in those other cards before we put in the Sorins.
Right, so we see, I think it ends up being how many spots do you
There really
actually
aren't
have?
very many spots. Yeah, the Batterskull would be my 5th card, and there might only be room for 3 or 4.
Right. Both players shuffling here.
And I would like to slightly clarify that trivia question from before. One of the decks does not have 4 copies. It only has 3 copies. So to correctly ask that question for the trivia, for hashtag SCG Premium, what not quite gold sorcery exists in half of this top 8?
All right.
My apologies for the slight miscount on one of those copies.
Oh, wow. So they're not 20. They're not 16
They're
copies.
not 16. They're only 15 copies.
All right.
As we wait.
Yeah. Desai looks his hand. Only 1 land in it. Decides it's unkeepable, and it's going to 6. Still on the play. His deck, actually, with the amount of card advantage that he has in here, mulliganing to 6 is not as scary in this matchup
Yeah,
as it would be in others.
Vishaal can recover it so easily with a single mulch or even a Tracker's Instincts.
Right. With a Flashback and Trackers, gets him +1 card. He's probably fine. One of the worries with Frights is that because of the nature of the mana base usually plays 13 Scars lands. It is a deck that probably, if you play it at a whole tournament, you should expect to lose 1 to 2 games on mulling to 4. If your deck just never really coming together in the mana. But fortunately, this is not one of those games. Vishaal keeps on his 6 and leads off on Copperline Gorge. The mana base for this deck so aggressive. I remember the first time I played against it, the first play I saw was Copperline Gorge into Avacyn's Pilgrim, followed up by Dark Slick Shores on turn 2. I remember thinking to myself, oh my, what am I playing against?
This is very, very ambitious.
And third line off Vishaal, and yes, there's a Dark Slick Shores, so now he has all 5 colors. And casts and he has sided in the Strangleroot Geists, but Beaux will have none of that. And there's a lot of different transformational sideboards I've seen out of the Frights decks. A lot of them involve Strangleroot Geists. Sometimes people side in a sort of War and Peace. They already are playing...
oh boy, Liliana is a very dangerous card in this matchup.
Liliana, his worry is that this does open up a possibility for Vishaal to, say, discard a
Unburial
Rights. Does not look like Vishaal has that. It looks like he can. He has an Elesh Norn, a Plains, I believe, Tracker's Instinct, and a Blackcleave Cliffs. Or a
Loses a
and
forest
Blackcleave
and an Isolated Chap on the other end.
So Vishaal really without too much going on in his hand right now. Looks like it's more lands than an Elesh Norn. And
3 mana, flashback, Trackers. It works.
He's leaving open a green in case he hits a mana creature.
Is that another Tracker's Instincts?
And he hits Thrun the last troll and it mills another Tracker's Instincts.
Thrun less exciting against Liliana.
Yeah, oh, there we go. Okay,
Hey, look at
that
that.
was more exciting. Though Liliana,
Liliana can eat them both.
Yeah, Liliana will probably just take care of the birds here, saying, "Oh, I see you have a Thrawn. We probably need to have a game plan for that." Vishaal really just needs to find a way to answer the Liliana. Between the amount of removal that Beaux probably has, it's pretty reasonable to say that Liliana will be able to kill the Thrawn if he does decide to play it. Just passes the turn. Doesn't use his Liliana. It's interesting.
Liliana, very interesting planeswalker.
She's one of the few planeswalkers where sometimes it's the correct play to not use it.
I actually can't think of another one where that's the case.
I think Chandra Ablaze might be the only other one where sometimes you don't use any of the abilities. But even then, you usually plus one that one. Well, most planeswalkers have a plus ability that's all upside, you know, Elspeth Knight Errant to make a 1/1. Well, okay, yes, of course I'd love to make a 1/1 as opposed to not doing that. Or even a Johnny Goldmane, gaining 2 life. Sure, you know, I don't have any creatures, I'll have 2 life, that's fine. So perhaps he's going to try to defend his Thrawn here.
With a bunch of little people?
Yeah, with a bunch of little people.
I guess it is true, there have been times where when I was trying to make Chandra Ablaze work, which didn't ever pan out, by the way,
yeah.
that I did not activate it. There were definitely times.
I don't want to really discard a card right now, and I don't want a new hand, so... Vishaal trying to figure out how much he wants to really, how he wants to commit into a possible Day of Judgment.
I mean, he's also probably thinking about Curse of Death's Hold.
Curse of Death's Hold is probably one of the cards he really is hoping that Beaux does not have. He doesn't have an answer to it in his hand, and it would be fairly back-breaking to his game state, I think, if Beaux were to resolve a Curse of Death's Hold.
We see a flashback of Tracker's Instincts. Right. Oh no, Lingering Souls. Flashback of Lingering Souls.
Yeah, we've already flashbacked our Tracker's Instincts.
Yeah, I thought there might have been. Thought there might have been another one put in the yard.
So I think his yard now out of flashback spells, and yeah, a Curse of Death's Hold would really just be.
I see a Sorin. I see a Mana Leak.
The Sorins have stayed in.
I might be misseeing it, but I think that's a Sorin.
I mean, it's not bad, nonetheless.
I definitely see a Mana Leak, though.
Yep. So that will be very strong against Vishaal's.
Yeah, see him? Is that Sorin right in front?
That is a Sorin.
Yeah.
Liliana, both players just he's edicting away a. No,
there's
Sorin,
the Sorin.
Lord of Innistrad.
Were you aware that actually Sorin pretty much made an angel? That's what I hear.
You mean in the story?
Yeah.
Which angel?
Whatever her name is. Avacyn, yeah.
Sorin made Avacyn.
That's a pretty cool vampire.
That is pretty cool.
I usually don't know anything about storylines, but somebody talked my ear off about it one day.
Sorin is from Innistrad, or he's just the now.
I tuned them out after that.
I know that one of them, it's either Sorin or Liliana has their home on Innistrad, and the other one is a visitor to Innistrad. I know. We'll probably get a boat of tweets telling us all about the history of the Plane of Innistrad.
If you are familiar with Legion events person, Matt Danner. Matt Danner is a regular mainstay at events that, like the side events at Pro Tours, what used to be side events at Pro Tours, running the show as a scorekeeper. And he would be able to tell you all about every storyline.
I mean, I think everyone in their play group at home, when you hear this question, thinks of, oh yeah, I know this guy who he'd know the answer to all of these questions. So yeah. Beaux cycling between a Mana Leak, a Go for the Throat, and what I believe is another Mana Leak, though I can't actually get a see on the third card. So we have Vishaal having many choices. Which Planeswalker to attack here? He's opting to go at Liliana, probably trying to still clear the way for the Thrawn in his hand. As you know, with all these Planeswalkers, Thrawn is one of the things that can really get into play, and he casts Wormcoil Engine. Beaux does not have his Mana Leak up, and his other card, his only kill spell is Go for the Throat. So Wormcoil really posing a fairly good big problem for Beaux right now. And that's one of the dangers of tapping out for Soren on this sort of board. Soren, very powerful effect, but really not as powerful as Wormcoil, especially not right here. So what once looked like a safe board, looking a little less safe for Beaux. Both players discard, and he's probably going to get rid of that Go for the Throat.
Ancient Grudge.
Ancient Grudge sided in for Vishaal.
What is he? He's got Batterskull he can hit, and Spell Bomb and Ratchet Bomb.
So that's it.
I think it's not probably a smart call for him.
No, and they do have access to each other's deck lists, right?
Yeah, they do. And now we see Beaux Bruggman masquerading as a token deck.
Which actually can be one of the problems for Frights. Is I know last time I played at a tournament against the Planeswalker control deck, I had an opponent playing an Elspeth and a Soren at the same time, and actually, even despite my reanimation, I was really unable to break through that wall of tokens that he continued to make. You know, Wormcoil Engine on this board is going to take 4 turns to be able to get through, and Beaux will continue to get Planeswalker activations during those 4 turns. This wall of Planeswalkers can really hold off the game for a surprisingly long amount of time until Beaux draws answers to the threats he needs to.
Well, and then the other thing too is Soren has an ultimate ability.
Soren
and
does have an
it's
ability.
not a slouchy ability.
Right. So Beaux will need to find a way to really deal damage to these Planeswalkers.
I think one of my problems with Liliana is that there are many times where Liliana has gone ultimate on me and I'm a control deck and I still win.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, she's the 3-drop Planeswalker, which is sometimes true that they don't get ultimates that are as strong as some of the larger Planeswalkers. Jace Bellerin's ultimate did not always win.
But it wasn't the ultimate you did to win.
No, the ultimate you did to win was to just keep drawing more cards.
And here they come, the Wormcoil and a Spirit. And Wormcoil eats a vampire, Spirit eats a spirit. And that spirit is dead. So we have Wormcoil versus a vampire and a spirit.
Right. But I mean, Soren's going to be able to hold off the Wormcoil indefinitely.
Yep. And then there's another Lingering Souls in Beaux Bruggman's yard.
Right. Vishaal will probably need an Elesh Norn to crack through this.
He does have one in hand, doesn't he?
He does, but Beaux also has a mana leak right now.
That's true. It'll require 10 mana to get through that.
Well, or it'll require a counter spell and an Burial Rites. It's probably the more likely line coming up.
I'm just talking about the casting since you...
Yes. Oh, yeah.
The direct response to your statement. Here we have another Bird of Paradise. Right. Building up, he now has access next turn to 7 mana.
And then the second card, what is the other card in his hand? Is
it land? Maybe?
Looks like another land. It's really just the Elesh Norn. Or perhaps it's not, as he's looking to cast something.
Maybe he wants to Ancient Grudge his own Wormcoil. Avacyn's Pilgrim.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So actually, 10 mana.
He's only 2 mana
He's only
away.
2 lands away. Maybe I should correct myself. Maybe that is what we're doing.
And we're gonna see a flashback of something.
Flashback of
Tracker's Instinct.
Going for another mana
Strangleroot-Geist, Llanowar.
Now at this point,
he takes the Geist.
All right. I was wondering at this point whether or not you took the mana creature.
I think actually the Geist, I think, lets him help push over this Soren.
Right. So the question... Okay, he couldn't have actually cast the Geist. I was wondering whether or not it was a little hasty to begin with his turn with combat.
I think actually that set of orders on his choices, I would have liked to have opened with the Tracker's Instincts and then see what happens from there.
And Soren now up to 5, I believe. And just the whole team is assembled.
Oh my goodness.
And now we have Gideon Jura set to protect his friends.
We got the Hellfire Club over here.
This could be a really big. This could be a really big problem for Vishaal. Vishaal's going to have a lot of trouble stopping Soren from ultimating here, and eventually he'll get into positions where he doesn't want to play Elesh Norn because Soren will be able to steal Elesh Norn if he does.
Wow, this is actually really dangerous.
Well, Vishaal, the Vishaal's going to be able to cast Elesh Norn next turn and get Soren off the battlefield. The question is if Beaux then has Day of Judgment, for example. I believe that would be very powerful.
But
for
no,
him.
but Soren will still be on. How big is Soren? Is Soren a 6?
I believe Soren's a 5. That's a pretty relevant question, though.
I thought Soren might be a 6.
No, Soren's a 6. Soren has made 3 lifelink vampires.
So Soren's a 6.
Soren's a 6. So
that means that Soren can go off next turn, which means that even if the Elesh Norn comes down, what that means is that Beaux can steal it.
Right. What other options?
Here's the situation, right? Next turn, what's going to happen is Vishaal is going to cast Elesh Norn. It's going to wipe Beaux Bruggman's board. Gideon is going to be killed by the creatures in Vishaal's play. And then, on Beau's turn, Beaux is going to steal the Elesh Norn, the Wormcoil Engine, and whatever else is still around.
Now, do you think, obviously this isn't not good for Vishaal, does Vishaal have any options other than to lead forward and hopes of this working?
If he doesn't cast the Elesh Norn, what can he do? I mean...
Looks like a very bad situation both ways. Really.
Yeah, I mean... wow. I've never seen Soren, Lord of Innistrad, go ultimate.
Well, we might get it. So okay, so when he goes ultimate, you destroy up to 3 creatures, and then they come back as on your side of the battlefield.
Yeah, they're not even
as vampires.
They're not even vampires.
Not vampires. Okay,
you know,
so
I really wish
turn them to the dark.
I really wish he had said vampires. I'm guessing that this is the case that Gideon had, where the truly flavorful stuff that they would have put on him just is too much text for the card.
It's a lot to remember. Yes. Oh, and now they're vampires.
And besides a vampire Wormcoil Engine, who ever heard of such a thing? How can you turn a Wormcoil Engine into a vampire?
You can give it a rune stalactite.
That's a good answer. I like that.
You give a robot a stick, it turns into a vampire.
Is it really a vampire, or is it just pretending to be a vampire? I think actually what's happening is it's either a cosplay moment or it's like a live-action role-playing moment.
So I remember one of my friends who I play with a bunch at home really likes to, while playing, picture in his head the combat that's going on. So when you have creatures, and I remember at one point we were playing, this was a long time ago, we had a Isamaru.
Oh, Faithless Looting, 1 second.
Sure.
He finds another Elesh Norn. That's actually very useful for him, if that's what I saw correctly.
So, going back to difficult times in picturing board states, there's an Isamaru with a Griffin guide on it, equipped with Umasawa's Jite. He looks at me and he says, well, this is a dog riding a bird holding a sword that shoots lasers at people.
A Jite is not a sword.
Right. But he's trying to explain why this Isamaru was giving my creature -1/-1. So 2 Elesh Norns.
One of them's going to go to the yard, I think.
Both maybe? Yeah, if he, one going to the yard.
I mean, I know it's not fun, but I think he actually has to play into Beau's thing, his ability to Soren, because what's going to happen then is he at least gets rid of 2 of the Planeswalkers, as well as all of the creatures on both sides.
If you're committed to playing into the Soren, don't you keep both Elesh Norns?
Yes.
Because then...
You can, yes.
Wait, no, because when Beaux steals his Elesh Norn, all the mana creatures are going to die.
I understand.
And Vishaal will be unable to cast his own.
Well, he's only 2 short.
Yeah, so you're hoping to keep the Elesh Norn as a 7 mana removal spell for the Elesh Norn that you know Beaux is going to have.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, if it doesn't work out, you got your Faithless Looting in the yard. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, he's not going down that route though.
He's gonna play Thrun
Plays
the last
the Thrun.
roll.
Okay, here's why I don't like this line of plays. Even though it's not fun to give your opponent the Elesh Norn, what it means is that this next turn, Beaux can set up the same situation, but have Soren survive.
Things aren't going to get better.
Yes.
The situation has to play into is bad, but it's going to go from bad to worse. Yeah, I think he has to let Soren ultimate and then try to defeat it that way. But so with this line, now he's hoping to actually. Well, he's still Gideon will continue to +2, so the Soren ultimate will happen. But yeah, now Beau's gonna get to keep
Yeah, and
the
then he'll
Soren.
be able to keep the Soren, whereas the other way, at least the Gideon and the Soren are off the table.
Right, and he also that way he only has to beat Nelishnorn.
Only.
And we see and Curse of Death's Hold.
Curse you. Oh God.
It's getting very difficult for Beaux or for Vishaal.
Please attack him.
Right, and Beaux still having Mana Leak in his hand as his last card, I believe. Oh no, he discarded one off Liliana. So the other card's an unknown. And it's Snapcaster Mage. And now his hand's empty, but his board is thoroughly in control. Alright, so back to Vishaal Desai's turn.
Thrun is so sad when he's got a Death's Hold on him.
Yeah, only a 3/3. Facing down an army of planeswalkers.
I mean, is it okay to call these guys the Hellfire Club?
Let's see.
Super Friends always would have been better named as Fantastic Four, I think. Is that another Thrun? Yeah, it's another Thrun.
I'll probably be discarded. The real question is, what card is Vishaal looking for?
Inferno Titan, followed by Unburial Rites, Unburial Rites, Unburial Rites, Unburial Rites.
Alright, so he's got a long path ahead of him.
Yeah, he does.
One of the dangers of the Frights deck is in the late game, it really only, because of how its mana works, it really can only play one large set a turn for the course of the whole game. So when you get to a board state like this, Vishaal's best draw really is to hope to try to make a Titan or a Wormcoil or something like that every turn. When you get to a board state where that's not good enough to win, like this one, it can be very difficult for the Frights player to really have any plays.
Beaux Bruggman throws some chump blockers in the way of the large creatures from Vishaal. They go away, but Beaux is still in just great shape here.
Mm-hmm.
What it looks like Vishaal is basically trying to do is make Soren's ultimate not particularly relevant.
He doesn't. He's trying to make the ultimate go off on something that's not Elishnorn. But the problem is that Vishaal can continue to chump block the Wormcoil every turn, and then actually Gideon can just take the Thrun damage, and Gideon will go down by 1 loyalty every turn. Thrun's a 3/3, Gideon is +2. Beaux can buy himself a practically endless number of turns that way, so Vishaal's, by doing that, he's going to force Vishaal to continue to commit to the board, which Vishaal's probably not too thrilled about.
So look at this here. Like with Soren, what he can do, if he wanted to, is he could use Soren to turn Wormcoil Engine to the dark side, and then there would be a 6/6 Wormcoil Engine on Beau's side and 2/2/2 Wormcoils.
Well, actually, as long as Vishaal has 1 mana up, that play is not going to work.
The Ancient
Vishaal
Grudge?
has the Ancient Grudge for the Wormcoil.
Oh, he does have Ancient Grudge. That's a good. Maybe this was his plan
This
all
is his-
along.
Well-
He was like, someday Soren's going to try to take over my Wormcoil Engine, and I'm going to say that's not going to happen.
So Gideon has stopped taunting the opponent's team, and Gideon has decided to
Gideon has murdered one of
has
them.
wrestled with the Wormcoil Engine.
Oh, he's stealing, and actually that won't work.
Well, he won't get them.
Yeah, he won't get them. They're gone
fine.
for good. And then the Edict from Liliana clears the table, and then he's going to Lingering Souls, I believe.
Yeah. Very strong play.
And then look at that. He's still got the Hellfire Club hanging out there.
Yep, they're all 3 planeswalkers still alive.
And I believe that Liliana is at 2, so Liliana can still eat the next creature that Vishaal drops.
He can eat So, yeah, Vishaal not with enough mana right now to make a Worm Coil Engine, or to make an Elish Norn. Okay,
Mulch?
Tracker.
Or is that Trackers?
It's a
Trackers.
Tracker.
Gives him a useless creature and a looting in the yard. The looting will be able to throw that creature away, though.
Vishaal with a very narrow window here, hoping to try to make as much of it as possible before all these Planeswalkers reload, but it looks like the best he's going to get is a card advantage turn out of it. And the second one hits an Unburial Rites.
Okay, it's Lingering Souls and an Unburial Rites into the yard for Vishaal. So still essentially a quasi 2-for-1 for Vishaal by casting that Tracker's Instinct from the yard, which makes it a quasi ancestral actually.
Alright, so now each Planeswalker reloading, and you're going to see Gideon turning into Superman going on the offensive. He's going to be backed up by the rest. Okay, no, not Superman. So, okay, Hellfire Club. So instead of Superman, Gideon in Super Friends, Gideon was referred to as the Superman of the team because, you know, he was the big, bulky, impervious guy. So now that we're the Hellfire Club, well, what name? What's a better analogy for him?
Are you talking about to make it a DC thing?
Yes.
DC sucks.
Oh, that's not a very flavorful answer.
Okay, and on the other side of the bracket, it looks like Jason Black has won. Let's see. Well, actually, hang on a second.
So we have Vishaal continuing to look for more answers, but it looks like only a matter of time until he's about... Yeah, there's still 3 Planeswalkers too many on Beau's side of the table. And Beaux untapping more land drops, probably more of the same in attacks. And Beaux pointing out the lifelink thing, that it does indeed gain life here as well. So we confirmed on the other side of the bracket?
No, we have not confirmed.
Okay.
There was a miscommunication there for a second. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay,
what's
so it appears that Jason Black is our victor for the semifinals because Will Qian might have been defeated by the alarm clock.
Oh my. Well, I guess you were saying that, you know, it was a very good matchup for the Rams player, I suppose.
You know, I actually have seen people defeated by the sandwich. They go get a sandwich, come back, and they've missed their round. But the alarm clock is rougher.
That is.
Elish Norn wiping the board clear. Unburial Rites making a very potent appearance here.
Right, but with Liliana, with as many counters she still has on them, Beaux has the ability to really not care at the moment. Vishaal, if he can make a mana creature here, can force Beaux to show him a kill spell.
If he even still has a mana creature around,
right.
You know, he might have discarded those. For those of you who are just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan here, joined in the booth by Matthias Hunt. We're here at the semi-final match between Vishaal Desai playing Fritz, or Frights, if you prefer, versus Beaux Bruggman playing Esper Control. Both of these players have battled past 319 other players to make it here. Mm-hmm. One of these players will be playing Jason Black in the finals with Wolf Run Ramp. Liliana, as predicted, eats Elish Norn. Gideon comes out and attacks, and Sorin makes a little vampire.
All three working together. Vishaal's dropped to 14. Still only one card. He's been digging every turn, but due to the nature of his deck, he still can only really play one threat per turn. And things look uphill for him. If he still has an Inferno Titan in play, that seems like a card that could have some sort of value here. Inferno Titan could come down and kill the Liliana, and thus would force Beaux to actually have a kill spell for the Inferno Titan. Now, on the flip side of that, Beaux hasn't actually cast very many cards from his hand in a long time, so Beaux very well may have a kill spell. On top of that, there's a decent chance Vishaal has sided out his Inferno Titans. He's opted for his sideboard plan of Strangleroot Geist and Thrun the Last Troll. And as a result of that plan, in order to find room, a lot of times they cut out some number of the large creatures. Inferno, between Alish Norn, Wormcoil Engine, and Inferno Titan often is the first one to get the axe.
Okay, so apparently in DC we could say the Legion of Doom, or the Injustice Gang, or the Society, but those all kind of suck.
So I actually like the Hellfire Club. You could,
Hellfire Club sounds good.
You have Emma Frost with Liliana. You could have Sebastian Shaw, and we have to find out. And all right, we have an attack dropping Vishaal down to 7, I believe.
All over but the crying, if you ask me.
And he's on his last legs. Contemplating. I believe he's drawn Lingering Souls, which unfortunately death has quite a hold on them right now.
Exactly.
Attention Magic players, this is last call for signups for the draft open. If you'd like to participate in the first draft open of the day, you need to make your way up.
Oh, he has Ray of Revelation for the Curse of Death.
Oh, there we go.
It was not a Lingering Souls, it was another white instant. Or white.
This helps things out a little bit.
Little late on it, I would say.
What else has he got in there? Lingering Souls?
Just the one?
I think that's the only one he's got. There might be another one in there, though. It's been a long game. Let's check.
Let's check, yeah. What a great idea. Oh, look, there's another. And more? No, I think just the one. Well, that's good enough. We'll do that.
If there are any DC Comics experts out there, what's a DC villain team that actually is cool?
Yeah.
Let us know on Twitter at SCG Live. I mean, I do remember on the Batman television show, in the movie, when the Joker, the Riddler, and the Penguin all teamed up, and that was pretty rough. I think Catwoman was involved in that too somehow.
Lovely. On which side?
That's a good question. I think she kind of switched sides.
That's usually her game. Is that she's in the end she's a villain, but you never know. And Day of Judgment.
Day of Judgment.
I love the pre-combat Day of Judgment on my turn.
I do that all the time with Blue White. Day of Judgment, and then here comes Gideon.
Here comes Gideon. And he has the kill. Thorin making an emblem. Gideon swinging for exactly 7.
Actually, Gideon could be Mr. Frost because he's Arnold.
We're talking back from Arnold Schwarzenegger from the Batman and Robin movie.
That movie is the worst Batman movie.
There are a lot of puns. If you watch it, you can count the puns.
It's actually funny because in Memphis there was an actual villain that a DC superhero.
And Beaux Bruggman winning with Esper Control,
go.
winning in 2, moves on to the finals, where he will be meeting Jason Black playing Wolf Run Ramp.